Hello folks, welcome back to Wayfarer VCV Rack Patches. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project. In the past few episodes, we've been working on sounds for shamanic drumming, beginning in episode 5 with the bass drum sound, and then continue in episode 6 with the shaker sound. And now we're in episode 7, and we're going to add crickets. I basically took some cricket sounds from my sound design for relaxation, meditation, and sleep series, and they just made the whole experience even more hypnotic and just uplifted it to a new level. So in this episode, we're going to see how you can put those crickets together. Even though I've done this in another series, I want to do it again here because I'm trying to lock these crickets in to really work with this sound experience of the shamanic drumming, and I think that means we need to tailor them a little bit towards how they need to sound in this instance. So we'll be checking that out, and we'll get right to it after the theme. Okay, so this is the patch that I put together before recording this episode. This lower level is my mixer region as usual, everything to do with mixing, compressors, parametric EQ, 8-channel mixer, and the aux expander for it, as well as 3 effects. We're adding another reverb, a different kind, for the crickets because they deserve a space all for themselves. This second level is the bass drum sequence that we made back in episode 5. And here is the shaker from the previous episode, episode 6. So let's hear this overall. I will warn you at first, the crickets will sound a little bit strange in that, depending on when I fade this in, it's running, on mute right now. It may be at a point where it's slightly a little bit offbeat, but just let it sink in for a little bit, let it go for a few seconds, and then you'll feel the whole movement in and out of beat with the drum beat, and then you start feeling the hypnotic effect of it. Okay, so there we go. In order to work on this effectively, I'm basically going to go to, the patch as we left it at the end of last episode, and I will add all the modules for making the cricket sounds. No, we don't need to do that. We can go to Open, Recent, and let's see, this is episode 6B is what I'm looking for, right there. I'm feeling the need to turn this down a little bit. Okay, so now that we feel that pulse, let's put some crickets in with it. Now, once again, I don't want them to be exactly in time with it. I want them to kind of come in and out of time with it. And so I'm going to add a VCO from VCV, a VCA from VCV, and I'm going to hook up the sine out into the input of the VCA, and then we need an LFO to give us the ridgy sound of the crickets. We will need 2 more of these LFOs afterwards. Now before I hook this up, I want to turn down the fader of the channel I'm going to hook it up to. We're going to do 4 crickets on channels 5, 6, 7, and 8. Alright, you're hooked up there. You need to be hooked up here. There we see the fluctuations. That's far too slow, but we will adjust it by ear as soon as we get this hooked up. Slowly raise the fader. Alright, now the frequency is way off. I like to use something around 3400, but since I like to chorus it, I'm going to make this 9 hertz less than 3400. 3391, how about that? And then we need to oscillate it faster. But I'm telling you something, frequencies in that area tend to be a little bit prominent. Okay. I like that speed. We're going with the drums in a way. Okay, next we are going to oscillate this sound. I'm going to use a green for gate. I like to use red for audio, yellow for control, and green for gating. Alright. Now, once again, I'm not trying to get this to go right in line with the beat, but close to it. Because this is going to be varied a little bit too. That's what this oscillator's for. I'm going to set this to a real slow rate of 0.034 to take whatever this LFO rate is. Let's zoom in on it and see. 1.827 and so forth. So we could say 1.8 or 1.9 for rounding off purposes. Okay. We want to vary that a little bit by not even a hertz, less than 1 hertz. So over here we can say how much we're going to vary it by saying how much slower or faster it will be varied. I'm going to make it real small, like 0.7. Try another number, 1.6. Alright, this will make more sense when we have another cricket to compare it to. So what I'm going to do is put in a blank space here. Just like that shaker in the background is kind of riding a little off beat. I mean, it's in tempo, but it's off the beat. We want a similar thing here. So I am going to hook up the gate for the next one first. Do we run the right channel here, right? Yep. Lower the fader. And then we could hook up the audio cable. Oops, goes right here. Now these have the same values and they would normally be in sync except for the fact that I copied and pasted this, so when these LFOs started running, they ran, you know, at that instance they started at the rate they were at, so they were starting out of sync with these. If I were to open them up again, this patch again, then all the modules would initialize at once, and they would be in sync with each other. But I don't really want them to be, and in fact I'm going to do some chorus in here. The other oscillator I have at 3391, so this is going to be 3409. And all I need to do to kind of desync these is to change the speed at which this one oscillates. So I'm going to go with one of my magic numbers, 0.043, whereas this one is 0.034. And that variation oscillator will be enough to shift this differently than this one shifts this. Now let's separate these in the stereo spectrum here a bit. I'm going to do two more. So there's going to be one panned almost all the way left, but not quite. And another one like a quarter of the way left. Let's turn them down a bit. And then I'm going to set these faders, because it won't take me long. Duplicate these oscillators. And put them over there. So while I'm down here, I'm going to put these on group 2. Because when I add the effect, I'm going to send them as a group to that effect. There we go. Faders aren't exactly there. Alrighty. Put this blank in there. Copy these guys, pop them in. Now I'm going to bring the gates over first. I'm calling them gates, but they're the LFO controls the volume. And since they're pretty much opening and closing the volume, they're gates for all intents and purposes. And you go over here. Now we can hook up audio. This is channel 8. And this is channel 7. Now let's hear this. You hear how they're going in and out of sync. What I'm going to do is make sure that these guys here are the same as these. So I think this VCO is 3409 and we're at 0.043, and this one's going to be the same as the one that's on the outer left here, panning wise. So we're going to make you 3391 and you 0.034. Now, we'll have to hear them from restarting the patch shortly, because that's when we'll really hear how they're going to sound overall when all modules load at the same time and all LFOs are initiated at the same time. Okay, so send C is going to go to a new reverb here. Yep, just making sure you're going to lock on. There we go. Alright, and then since I put all those crickets in a group, we're going to send them to aux out C here. And I want this to be on an effect cathedral. A cathedral 1 and a cathedral 2. On this sound, they both sound equally as good. And now I'm going to take this group and lower it a bit. In the mix, the crickets are a little too strong. There we go. Now, let's save this. Might as well make it line up first of all. And yeah, let's do this. What I'm going to do is save this to the right file name. It already exists because I did record this episode before and had audio issues, had to do it again. Alright. Now what we can do, I just want to save it with it framed properly. There we go. Now what we can do is load it from our open recent list, the last thing, and it should reinitiate it. I think the crickets are still a little strong. Right about there. All right. So, if you found this useful at all, informative, or entertaining in any way, please smash that like button. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You can say hello too, help keep me from feeling lonely. But until next time, take care and keep on chirping.